Last week, news outlet Politico obtained leaked documents showing the Supreme Court leaning heavily in favor of striking down Roe v. Wade, the ruling that the Constitution protects a woman's right to choose abortion. In the opinion draft written by Justice Samuel Alito, it states that Roe v. Wade decision should be overruled in part because the Constitution makes no reference to abortion and therefore cannot be a constitutional right. He goes on to say that the decision of abortion should be placed in the hands of elected representatives within each state, not a federal ruling which covers all states. And here to talk about the legal ramifications and options is Andrew Siegel, Seattle University law professor and constitutional law expert. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
There is a lot of emotion, obviously, surrounding this, but we wanted to talk about some of the legal issues. First off, this is a draft final that was leaked. What's the normal time, say, from draft to final opinion?
Sure. Well, this opinion seems to have been drafted in February. It's going to circulate among the justices. It has been circulating. There'll be dissents written, concurrences, changes requested. The justices will try to decide whether to join, what opinion to join. Most likely, this opinion is going to come out in the month of June, probably the last week of June. It takes that long on the most important opinions.
So about 4 months. That's for really important things like this.
Yeah, I think that's good. In general, the most important cases, whenever they're argued, tend to come out towards the end of June.
So the big question people have been wondering is, do judges change their mind from draft to final?
Sure. In rare instances, the justices will actually change their vote and switch sides. Much more often, though, the draft final will change in its language, change in its holding, change in how serious it is, and I think that's what's at issue here. It's pretty clear the court's going to uphold the Mississippi law at issue here. The question is whether they're going to go far enough to overrule Roe v. Wade and go further than that and kind of set up a whole bunch of other constitutional changes. This opinion certainly does that. There is definitely time and room for the opinion to change. Not likely, but in play.
So let's talk about how we got here to the idea of Roe v. Wade possibly being overturned. Was it just because the court changing over the years? Or?
Yeah, I mean, for many years, Republicans have made a series of appointments to the court thinking that they had enough votes to overrule Roe v. Wade. Time after time, they were disappointed. But starting before the 2016 election, when the Republicans blocked Merrick Garland's nomination to replace Antonin Scalia to wait until the election, then with Trump's victory and the replacement of 3 pro-Roe justices, the replacement of potentially Garland and then 2 pro-Roe justices, Kennedy and Ginsburg, with nominees selected really with this in mind, it becomes something of an inevitability. We're waiting for a when rather than an if.
If Roe v. Wade is overturned with that final opinion come June, what's the impact as far as states' rights go? Because this returns the decision to the state, right?
Well, at least for now, at least temporarily, what the opinion says is there's no federal rule, no federal constitutional right. States are free to legislate to ban abortion. So certainly you'll see a lot of states scurrying. You're already seeing it in a number of states. But at least initially you'll see different rules in different states. Washington is very protective. There definitely is rumblings out there, and you've heard them too, that federal legislation to ban abortion is coming. That there's
so that's possible then?
Well, certainly there are people who want to do it, and when it's not a constitutional right, they will take a shot at it, or they will at least introduce legislation. Whether it's within Congress's powers is kind of a complicated question related to things like the Commerce Clause and the 14th Amendment Enforcement Clause, and we just haven't been in that world. But I think people's concern is that the court seems steeped in its own values here, that its values seem to be anti-abortion, so they're not confident that the court wouldn't uphold such a law.
And I know there's also a lot of scrambling right now as the Democrats are trying to figure out, can we pass something?
Yes. At least in theory, if Congress has the power to legislate on the issue of abortion, perhaps on the theory that it's a commercial medical procedure, then Congress could pass legislation to protect the right to abortion nationally. Again, we don't know how the court thinks through these federalism issues, and they're certainly going to be thinking through them while steeped in their own values. So the Democrats are not confident about it. but it seems like an open move that folks who are in favor of choice think the Democratic Party should be making, and certainly there are efforts in that direction.
Right, if they can get the votes, and
Right.
that's
Yeah,
what we don't
efforts.
know. In light of this, does it set a precedent for other decisions related to overturning human rights, like I'm thinking gay marriage, interracial marriage?
Yeah, the opinion says that it doesn't, says that abortion is
Right.
different, or the draft opinion does, but all of its reasoning, except for that one or two sentences, seems to put other rights at issue. The court is, in explaining why there's no right to abortion, no right to choice, is chopping away at the foundations of lots of other decisions. They're basically arguing that unless a right is mentioned in the Constitution or at a very specific level has been protected since the time of the founding, that that's not going to be treated as a fundamental right or a fundamental human right. And all the decisions you mentioned, plus lots of others we value, are based on very different reasoning. So there is a lot of room for concern.
When you look at this as far as this leak goes, how does this impact the way the public views the court going forward? As somebody that studies the court and constitutional law.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the leak. It's the leak in the context of rescinding a right that's been there for 50 years, dividing as sharply as they're going to divide, seemingly to follow the election returns. The court's weathered a lot in terms and maintained its public respect, weathered some things that would have surprised you, like Bush versus Gore.
Right.
But we've started to see cracks in the court's popularity rankings, in the public's acceptance of the court as a neutral branch. And this episode, I think, is a turning point unless things change. I mean, I really do think that the court appears illegitimate in the minds of lots of people.
Right, which is not good for our country. Thank you so much.